Let me issue a quick warning before we get into this episode. This is about my trip to the Vatican, and I'm gonna be brutally honest in my opinion, so it might offend some people. Just saying. When you were young, like really, really young, have you ever gone to a fairground or a theme park or something like some place which was very crowded and although very exciting, also very overwhelming? With your parents, of course, you would have gone, and it would be the kind of place where if you leave the finger off the parent, then you get lost. You get swept away in a sea of people, and that terrifies you. Remember that? I hope I'm not giving you any traumatic memories, but if you have seen that, if you've experienced that, and you can still remember it, just imagine that being as a grown-up, and then you can imagine my trip to the Vatican. So with that out of the way, let's get into the actual story. Hello again, this is Sunny and you're watching Sunny Escapades. We are talking about my trip to Rome with friends a couple of years ago, and the reason for that is that it was such an interesting trip and it presented both sides of a trip, like the solo trip and friends trip in the same trip. So if you have not watched the previous episodes, I would suggest that you do watch them and also do subscribe, because we do talk about things like this a lot here, a lot of travel stories, a lot of things that you can do right by following me, and a lot of things where I have made a mistake and you can learn from that and not make the same mistake yourself. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe. No force, no pressure if you want to. Anyway, let's get into the actual story of the Vatican visit. One thing that I had done right, I was the organizer of this trip. I had planned the whole itinerary, and if you have seen the previous episodes, you would know that sometimes my friends followed it and sometimes they didn't follow it, and I just let them go their own way, and I did follow my itinerary. But one thing which was non-negotiable was this third day, the visit to the Vatican. And the reason for that was that I had the foresight to book a tour to the Vatican Museum. This is the whole Vatican Church, Vatican City. And the reason for that was I had done my research and I had found that if you have a tour with a tour guide, professional tour guide, then you can go through the Vatican Museum and also go through the shortcut to St. Stephen's Basilica, which is not possible if you are individual. If you are just on your own, then you have to come out, go all the way around, and then go into the Basilica from that side. Okay. So if I'm being absolutely honest, I did not have that much of an interest in Vatican, not being Christian and not being religious. It did not hold that much attraction to me. Although there are some things you would want to see, and it is something world famous, so you would want to see that. But what actually pushed me into doing that was my friend Roberta, who was not along on this trip. But I think about a year ago, she and I were on a trip and we were comparing notes as to who has visited more countries. And it turned out that she had visited, I think, 2 more than me. So we were at about 17, 19, like that sort of number. And I thought, okay, I'm very competitive. So I was like, okay, I have to beat her. And she had gone to Italy, and this is the benefit of going to Italy. You can go to Rome, and within Rome you can go to Vatican City, because Vatican City counts as a separate country. In her list it was 2 countries, Italy and Vatican City. So like, yeah, I can beat her at her own game, go to that. But once you make a plan, once you decide to go somewhere, then you obviously get interested in that. And one thing I was interested in was that picture, the painting by Michelangelo, which I'm talking about. We'll get to that. So as I said, I had booked a professional tour, which was not very expensive. It was like 20 euros, something around there. It was very easy, and we were 4 people, and there were some other people in the same group as well. So you go past the Vatican, and then there's a little street. On that there are all these tours. So you go to their office, show them your ticket, and then they're like, yep, we'll send you a guide with you. So the guide comes with us. I'm sorry, I've forgotten her name. She was absolutely fantastic, and she took us, back to the Vatican. And there are always rules that they tell you beforehand, even when you're booking the tour, that you have to cover your shoulders and your knees. It's a religious place. If you're going in, you have to dress decently. You cannot have, like torn jeans or stuff like that. So we were all dressed quite sober and respectable. And when you get to the Vatican, there are multiple gates. When you get to the main gate, there's a lot of security. And believe me when I say this, I have visited many countries before that and after that. Any of the airports or the railway stations, which are international railway stations, I have never seen more security than this place. So there is security, and you have to take your shoes off, any jackets, over shirts, you have to take them off, put them in the trays. The good thing was, because I had the foresight, I'm going to take the full credit for that, of booking a professional guide. She guided us through all of that. And in some places, you get a little bit of more professional courtesy to the guide, so you can get a little bit faster treatment as well. Otherwise, there are long queues there also. Once we got past that, then she got some headset and earpieces. So she gave us an earpiece each so that we could listen to her when she spoke into her microphone. Yes, it is that big, that crowded, and that loud that you cannot hear the guide even if she screams unless you have that earpiece in. Okay, so that was a good thing. So we went through there, and then inside she first showed us a radio station. Okay, that's the radio station from the Vatican. This is the window that the Pope comes out when he's announcing something. So all good. We got some pictures. I don't have a lot of video footage of there or even photo footage because the tour was quite whirlwind. It was very fast. It was about 2 hours long, and still it was very fast. Let me give you an idea of how big it is. Okay, it's not like a small museum where you can just go in and see the main thing you want to see and then come out. No, it's like a small city of art. There are 70,000 works in this whole collection, and about 20,000 are actually on display. 20,000 pieces of art. Can you imagine seeing 20,000 pieces of art even in a whole weekend? And we did that in a couple of hours. So you can imagine that this is not actually an art viewing, it's like a marathon. You're just running. And you're not alone. In this whole maze of corridors filled with like paintings and statues and stuff, there are thousands of people around you. In 1 year, like in 2024, 6.8 million people walk through those corridors. Like 6.8 million people, my God. So a few thousand of those are in those corridors at the same time as you. So the guide was like, like a mother hen. She's just keeping her chicks together as best as she could, and she was excellent at it. She was fantastic at it. So we just had to follow her because she was holding something like an umbrella or a sign. I forgot what now, but we were just following that. And then as we flow through, it's like flowing through into, so you're not walking through, you're flowing through with the crowd into a room, and then she would point out the main things that you want to look at. This is a statue that came from there. This is a statue painted by that person, created by that person. That painting was lost in that war, and then, oh my God, even if you want to remember, you cannot remember all of that. I don't care if you're James Bond, you cannot remember all that many facts or even appreciate them in the moment, because remember, when you're trying to take a picture, there are about 100 people in your way and about 400 people behind you waiting for you to get out of their way. So it's mind-blowingly crazy. And if you think about how big it is, it's like 43,000 square meters of galleries and rooms. That's why if you are trying to finish your steps for the day, turn on your Strava, turn on your Fitbit, and then you will rack up steps like crazy. So just one corridor is 120 meters long. They make races shorter than that, there's a 100-meter sprint. So we went through those, and it was crazy. There are some places there were like galleries, some places there were tapestries, and you look up and it's all painted. I tried to take pictures, as many as I could. I failed miserably because we had to move as well. There was one place which was like an open courtyard. There's this big globe, kind of like a globe inside a globe kind of thing. In this, there are pictures on one side, and she was explaining to us how Michelangelo got the job of painting the church and how the Pope heard about him. And it was an interesting story because you get to know that, okay, even the greatest of the greatest people, they were at one time, they were like a out of work painter or somebody who was, hassling the Pope because he didn't know how to do that particular type of art. But he said, yeah, I can do it. And then he went and learned and then did it and then closed the room until he was actually ready. So there were lots and lots of stories. Okay, I can't even go into all of them. But here's the thing, that whole marathon of art, it is overwhelming. It's amazing. But is it worth it? For me, it was worth it because I was in Vatican City and I was beating Roberto's time in the country count. So yay for me. But is it worth it for you? I kinda doubt it. Because you are going through everything so fast that you don't have any time to appreciate it. I have been to museums before. I am not the best art critic or anything, or even an art lover of that scale. I have no credentials, no education in this. But if I see a nice painting and it speaks to me, I can appreciate it. Okay? Here, there was nothing that I could appreciate because we did not have time to stop and take everything in. Still, it's an experience. So, where we were talking about that globe inside the globe, that was the one place where I lost sight of the group because I was taking pictures. So I lost the guide and the group, and I was, that feeling I reminded you about when you lose your parents' finger that you were holding to walk through the fair, and then suddenly you are completely lost. So I went this side, that side, look in this corner, that corridor, and so many people, man, so many people. Finally, I did find them, my group and the guide, which was good, but it took me about 10-15 minutes to find them. So my advice is, if you're going to Vatican, definitely book a tour. It's not very expensive and it's well worth the money because of the way it streamlines your entry and viewing. Because whether you can appreciate it or not, they do point out the best things that are there, the most world famous things that are there. Okay, now let's get to my favorite part, which is the Sistine Chapel. Sistine Chapel is very famous, everybody knows. It's Michelangelo's masterpiece. And the worst thing about it, okay, there are many bad things about it. One thing, it was down some steps and it's extremely crowded, very, very crowded. So again, you don't have any time to appreciate it. Actually, you have time, but you're just crowded by a few hundred people at the same time. Okay, the worst thing is you are not allowed to take pictures inside. So I can show you a picture because there are lots of pictures of that outside. I don't know how, but for some reason you are not allowed to take pictures inside, and they will jump on you. If you take your phone out and start pointing at things, they will jump on you and escort you out. So there are lots of guards in there, many guards, and they are watching everything. So we were I wanted to see that one picture, which is the Genesis. If you've not seen that picture, I can show you a reproduction. So I wanted to see that, and it was worth the money for the whole trip because it is a masterpiece for sure. And this is a place where I got really annoyed with my friends because they just could not shut up. So that is a place where you just want to shut your mouth, look at the ceiling, and don't talk, don't think of anything else. It is that good. Okay. Anyway, so we got out of there. That thing was worth the trip, worth the tour. We got out there, and this is right outside. The guide left us because she was not going to go into the basilica with us, but she showed us the shortcut. She took us through the shortcut, and then that was it. So she had done a really, really amazing job. So she had earned her tip, and she had earned the money that we paid her company, all of that. Then we went into the basilica. The basilica is quite nice. It's smaller than the Vatican Museum, obviously, but also I think there was some prayer meeting going on as well in one corner. But also you have the time to go through it and then walk those corridors, take lots of pictures, lots of colors, lots of architecture, amazing architecture. And there is that one thing which makes it all worthwhile, is that picture called the Pieta. And Pieta is the only picture that Michelangelo signed. Because I think he was insecure about it or something, but that's the only picture that he signed, and that did speak to me. So you can just stand in front of that. It's just a picture of a mother, and you can stand in front of that and feel the emotion. Fantastic. So after that we came out of there, and one thing that is really interesting right outside the St. Stephen's Basilica in Vatican City is the post office. In case you don't know what the post office is all about, this is the smallest country in the world, Vatican City, and you have the smallest post office there, so people send postcards from there. And we also got in. So this is where I did my job as a tour guide, or unofficial tour guide for my friend, because they didn't know all these things. So I told them, and once I told them, they're like, yeah, we want to go as well. So okay, come on in. So we went in, we bought some stamps, we bought some postcards, and did the whole writing thing. Again, my friend's gonna take a couple of hours. This is why I'm telling you this whole story, is that if you go with friends, you have to make allowances for these things, and keep in mind that if you want to see like 17 different things in a day, you won't, because everyone wants to do something special in every place. Okay, so we wrote postcards and stuff, and there also I don't think you're allowed to take pictures, but I just sneaked my camera around. I did some little bit of photography and all. And one thing that I can tell you now, which I learned later, was that even though that is the smallest one, there are a lot of people who send postcards from there, and because of that the service is extremely slow. So my friends had to wait, I think, 2 months before everybody got the postcards. So yeah, I think it probably is the slowest service in the world that I have seen. Some places like Hungary, like Budapest, fast, very fast, but they had to wait for premium service. Where have I been recently? Iceland didn't send any postcards. Never mind. Just many of the countries, they have very fast service, even for normal, and Vatican City does not. It was very slow. So we did that, and then we came out of there. It's kind of a very dazzling kind of experience going through that tour. You should do that just for the experience, but just keep in mind that as an art viewing, it leaves a lot to be desired. Just as a thing that to check that, yeah, I've been to the Vatican Museum. Yes, it is good. Okay, then we came out of there, and there's little road in front of that which is pretty empty. So we just walked down that and wanted to eat something. And I had something else on my list as well to see that day, because we were going to get a flight in the evening, but we had a few hours. But again, my friends, and this time I'm gonna give credit to Survi, because credit where credit is due. She's a foodie like no other. I am a foodie as well, but she's like a gourmet. Yeah, she's like a level up. So I would have been happy to just go to a Costa type place or a coffee house, get a coffee and a cake, and then just keep moving. But nope, they wanted to have some proper food. So proper food means you have to walk another mile to find something nice that everybody can agree on, and then sit down and eat. So we sat down and had food, but it killed all our time that we had. So after that, we had to very quickly collect our baggage and very quickly go to the airport. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that if you're doing Vatican, you will be done in about half a day, so you can plan another thing if you don't have friends like mine who wanna have proper food. So you can't blame Indians for wanting proper food, to be fair, because we grew up on amazing food. So when you have had, chana masalas and chole bhatures and matar paneer all your life, and then somebody says like, yeah, just have this burger. Yeah, no thanks. So it doesn't actually measure up. Okay, yeah, nothing against the burger, actually everything against the burger, so whatever. So you can plan something after that as well. That is the end of the Rome trip. I hope I have not bored you too much, and I hope you enjoyed the footage. Next time we're gonna talk about something more, and that will be about a completely new trip. I'm not gonna share what it is unless you twist my elbow. Alright, you twisted my arm. I'm gonna tell you. I made a nice trip to Spain, Barcelona and Andorra, which was quite interesting, 4 days. So next time we're gonna talk about that, and that trip is, there's a lot to talk about in that as well. If you have not seen some glimpses of that in my shorts, in my daily vlog, you should check that out. But the full vlog will be coming from next week. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Please subscribe and like and share all those things. You know the drill. I'll talk to you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.